the kids would hear me sing, and they tell me, that I've got talent. That's why I'm here.
In the glittering world of reality television, where dreams are made and stars are born, there are countless tales of triumph over adversity. But few are as profound and heartbreaking as the story of Richard Goodall, the unassuming janitor who captivated millions on season 19 of America's Got Talent. With his soulful voice and humble demeanor, Richard seemed destined for greatness. But behind his warm smile and kind eyes lies a life marked by unimaginable tragedy, devastating loss, and a grief that would bring most to their knees. This is the untold story of Richard Goodall, a man who refused to let his pain define him. Early life and struggles. Richard Goodall's remarkable journey began in the quiet, unassuming town of Terre Haute, Indiana. Born into a working-class family, Richard's childhood was one of modest means but abundant love. From the moment he could talk, Richard was drawn to the magic of melody. While other children his age were kicking soccer balls or playing video games, Richard could be found belting out tunes on his trusty Radio Shack stereo, his young voice filled with a passion and depth that belied his years. As he grew, so too did his love for music. In high school, Richard joined the school choir, his natural talent quickly earning him solos and leading roles. His teachers marveled at his perfect pitch, his ability to convey emotion with every note. They urged him to consider a career in music, to chase the dream that burned so brightly within him. But as is often the case, life had other plans. As Richard stepped into adulthood, the harsh realities of the world began to set in. With limited financial resources, college was a luxury he could not afford. Instead, he found himself taking on a job as a janitor at Chauncey Rose Middle School, trading in his microphone for a mop and bucket. For 23 years, Richard walked the halls of Chauncey Rose, diligently cleaning classrooms, scrubbing toilets, and emptying trash cans. It was honest work, but a far cry from the stage he had once dreamed of. As the years ticked by, it would have been easy for Richard to let his passion fade, to resign himself to a life of quiet service, but that was not Richard's way. Even as he went about his mundane tasks, he never stopped singing. His rich, soulful voice would echo through the empty corridors, bringing joy and wonder to all who heard it. Students would often pause outside the classrooms he was cleaning, pressing their ears to the doors just to catch a snippet of his impromptu concerts. Teachers would request his presence at school assemblies and events, knowing that his voice had the power to unite and inspire. Yet for all the joy he brought to others, Richard's own life was marked by unspoken sorrow. Behind his cheerful demeanor and ready smile, he carried a weight that few could understand, a weight that would only grow heavier with time. Personal tragedy. For 3 decades, the center of Richard's world was his beloved wife, Patty. They had met in high school, 2 bright-eyed dreamers drawn together by a shared love of music and a zest for life. From the moment they fell in love, they were inseparable. Through good times and bad, sickness and health, they built a life together filled with laughter, adventure, and an unwavering devotion to each other. But in 2021, their fairy tale was shattered by a devastating diagnosis. Patty, the love of Richard's life, was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney cancer. In an instant, their world was turned upside down, their future thrown into uncertainty. True to his nature, Richard became Patty's rock, her unwavering supporter through grueling chemotherapy sessions and endless doctor's appointments. He held her hand through the pain, wiped her tears, and whispered words of love and encouragement when the road seemed too dark to bear. He poured every ounce of his strength and soul into caring for her, determined to help her beat this terrible disease. But despite their valiant fight, cancer proved a ruthless adversary. Patty fought with the courage of a warrior, but with each passing day, Richard watched helplessly as the light in her eyes grew dimmer. On June 19, 2021, surrounded by her loved ones, Patty took her final breath, leaving behind a husband shattered by grief. In the days that followed, Richard found himself adrift in a sea of sorrow. The music that had once brought him such joy now felt hollow and distant. The house they had filled with love and laughter now echoed with a deafening silence. In a heart-wrenching Instagram post, Richard laid bare his anguish. "I'm so sorry, I did my best, but my best wasn't good enough. Cancer is like getting punched in the gut, falling to the ground, then told to get back up and start all over." For months, Richard retreated into himself, barely eating, barely sleeping. The weight of his grief threatened to crush him, to extinguish the light that had once shone so brightly. But even in his darkest moments, he could hear Patty's voice urging him on, reminding him of the promise he had made to keep singing, no matter what. And so, with shaking hands and a heavy heart, Richard picked up the pieces of his life. He returned to his job at the school, finding solace in the routine, in the smiles of the children who had always loved his voice. Slowly, with the encouragement of friends and family, he began to sing again, first at small karaoke nights at the local bar, then at community events and fundraisers. With each performance, Richard felt a piece of himself coming back to life. The music that had once been his salvation now became his therapy, a way to channel his grief and pain into something beautiful. And as he sang, he could feel Patty's presence, could hear her voice joining with his own, urging him on to chase the dream they had always shared. America's Got Talent journey. Richard's road to America's Got Talent began, as so many modern tales do, with a moment of serendipity. It was during one of the school's events, a Veterans Day celebration, where Richard was asked to perform. As he stood on stage, pouring his heart into a stirring rendition of Journey's "Don't Stop Believin'," he had no idea that his life was about to change forever. Unbeknownst to Richard, a teacher in the audience had pulled out her phone and started recording. Moved by the raw emotion in his voice, she posted the clip on TikTok, hoping to share a bit of Richard's magic with the world. Little did she know that the video would go viral, racking up millions of views and catching the eye of producers at America's Got Talent. It wasn't Richard's first brush with television talent shows. Just months earlier, he had mustered up the courage to audition for The Voice, hoping that his talent might be the key to a better life. He had poured his heart and soul into his performance, leaving everything on the stage. But when the rejection email came, it hit him like a punch to the gut. For a moment, Richard wavered, wondering if he was foolish to chase a dream that seemed so far out of reach. But then he thought of Patty, of the unshakable belief she had always had in him. He thought of the students at Chauncey Rose, who had been his biggest cheerleaders, who had made him promise to never stop singing, and he knew he couldn't give up, not now, not ever. And so, with a heart full of trepidation and a suitcase full of dreams, Richard boarded his first ever flight to California, ready to audition for America's Got Talent. But as he stepped off the plane, reality came crashing down. The cost of hotels, food, transportation, it all added up quickly, far exceeding the modest means of a school janitor. That's when the Terre Haute community stepped in. Led by Chris Bobe, a local resident who had been touched by Richard's story, they launched a GoFundMe campaign to cover his expenses. The response was overwhelming. Within days, they had raised over $15,000, a testament to the impact Richard had made on so many lives. With his hometown behind him, Richard took to the AGT stage, his heart pounding as he faced the celebrity judges. As he looked out at the expectant faces of Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and Sofia Vergara, he felt a moment of paralyzing fear. But then the music started and something magical happened. From the first note of "Don't Stop Believin'," Richard transported the audience to another world. His voice, raw with emotion and rich with soul, seemed to reach out and touch every heart in the room. As he sang, the judges watched in awe, their expressions shifting from curiosity to amazement to pure, unbridled joy. And when the final note rang out, the audience leapt to their feet, their cheers shaking the very foundations of the theater. Heidi Klum, visibly moved, slammed her hand down on the golden buzzer, sending a shower of glittering confetti raining down on Richard. "You knocked my socks off!" she exclaimed, her eyes shining with tears. "I had goosebumps all over. You're a true inspiration, a true diamond in the rough." As Richard progressed through the competition, his fan base grew exponentially. Viewers were drawn not just to his undeniable talent, but to his inspiring story of resilience and courage in the face of unimaginable adversity. They rallied behind him, voting in droves and flooding social media with messages of support. Even rock legends took notice. Journey's Steve Perry, the voice behind the song that had launched Richard to fame, reached out to express his admiration. Neil Schon, the band's legendary guitarist, invited Richard to join him on stage for the AGT finale, an offer that left the humble janitor speechless. Amidst the whirlwind of rehearsals, interviews, and live performances, Richard's personal life was also undergoing a transformation. In the quiet moments between the chaos, he found himself drawn to Angie, a radiant light in his darkest days. Their love blossomed quickly, a testament to the healing power of the heart. On the eve of the AGT finale, surrounded by their closest friends and family, Richard and Angie exchanged vows in an intimate ceremony. It was a moment of pure, unbridled joy, a reminder that even in the depths of sorrow, love could bloom anew. As Richard took to the stage for his final performance, with Neil Schon by his side and Angie watching proudly from the audience, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. As he launched into a soaring rendition of Journey's Faithfully, he could feel Patty's presence, could hear her voice urging him on. And when host Terry Crews announced Richard as the Season 19 winner, the world seemed to stop. Confetti rained down, tears flowed freely, and the audience roared with a deafening applause. It was a moment of triumph, of validation, of dreams come true against all odds, controversies and criticisms. But even as Richard basked in the glow of his hard-won victory, the whispers of discontent began. In the days following the finale, some viewers took to social media to express their dissatisfaction with the results. They argued that other contestants, like the dynamic dog trainer Ronnie Sagi or the mesmerizing dance duo Rhythm and Rhythm, were more deserving of the title. Others went further, suggesting that Richard's win was more a product of sympathy than true talent. They pointed to his tragic backstory, arguing that voters had been swayed by emotion rather than objective merit. Some even accused the show of exploiting Richard's pain for ratings, of turning his grief into a Hollywood spectacle. But for every critic, there were 100 supporters ready to rise to Richard's defense. They spoke of his undeniable vocal prowess, his ability to connect with an audience on a profound, almost spiritual level. They pointed to his years of hard work and dedication, to the countless hours he had spent honing his craft in empty school hallways and local bars. Most importantly, they spoke of his character, of the kindness and humility that had touched so many lives. Richard, they argued, embodied the very essence of the American dream. The idea that with talent, hard work, and an unshakable spirit, anyone could rise above their circumstances and achieve greatness. Looking forward. In the months since his AGT victory, Richard Goodall's life has undergone a transformation that can only be described as miraculous. Gone are the days of scrubbing floors and emptying trash cans. Now his days are filled with the whirlwind of newfound fame, recording sessions, red carpet events, sold-out concerts in venues he once only dreamed of. But through it all, Richard has remained grounded, never forgetting the humble beginnings that shaped him. He still returns to Chauncey Rose whenever he can, visiting with the students who have always been his biggest fans. He shares his story at schools and community centers, hoping to inspire others to chase their dreams, no matter how impossible they may seem. Most importantly, Richard has used his platform to become an advocate for cancer research and support. He speaks openly about his experiences, about the pain of losing Patty, and the importance of early detection and treatment. He's partnered with organizations like the American Cancer Society, using his voice to raise awareness and funds for the cause that has touched his life so deeply. For Richard, the AGT win is not the end of his journey, but rather the beginning of a new chapter. It's a chance to honor Patty's memory with every note he sings, to pay forward the love and support that carried him through his darkest days. He knows that the road ahead won't be easy, that grief is a lifelong companion. But he also knows that with Angie by his side, and with music in his heart, he can face anything. The story of Richard Goodall is a testament to the incredible resilience of the human spirit. It's a story of love and loss, of shattered dreams and second chances. It reminds us that even in the face of unimaginable tragedy, hope can still be found, that light can still shine through the darkness. Richard's journey is a reminder that greatness often comes from the most unexpected places, that the janitor mopping the floors of your local school might have a voice that could change the world, that the quiet neighbor who always has a kind word to share might be fighting battles you know nothing about. It's a story that prompts us to look beyond the surface, to see the potential in every person we meet, to offer a helping hand, a listening ear, a word of encouragement to those who are struggling. Because you never know when a small act of kindness might be the very thing that saves a life. As we watched Richard stand on that AGT stage, tears streaming down his face as golden confetti rained down around him, we weren't just celebrating a victory. We were bearing witness to the triumph of the human spirit, to the unbreakable bonds of love and the unstoppable force of a dream. Richard Goodall may have started as a small-town janitor with a heart full of sorrow, but today he stands as a beacon of hope, a shining example of what is possible when you dare to dream big. His voice, once echoing through empty school hallways, now rings out across the nation, inspiring countless others to follow their passions, to believe in themselves, to never stop fighting for what matters most. In the end, Richard's story is one we all share. It's the story of the human experience in all its joy and all its pain. It's a reminder that no matter how dark the night may seem, dawn is always waiting just beyond the horizon. That as long as we have breath in our lungs and love in our hearts, there is always a reason to keep singing. So let us take a page from Richard Goodall's book. Let us face our challenges with courage, our sorrows with grace, and our dreams with unwavering determination. Let us lift our voices in song, even when the world seems determined to silence us. And let us never, ever stop believing in the power of the human spirit to overcome, to heal, to rise above. Because in the end, that is the true legacy of Richard Goodall. Not the fame, not the accolades, but the indelible impact he has made on so many lives, the hope he has given to the hopeless, the voice he has given to the voiceless, the love he has shown to a world that often forgets how to love. And as long as we carry that legacy forward, as long as we keep singing his song, Richard Goodall will never truly be gone. He will live on in the hearts of all those he touched, a testament to the enduring power of music, of love, and of the unbreakable human spirit.